Hari Om and welcome. I've been asked so many times, very commonly, why can I do just the Pilates? Why I have to do yoga? Why yoga is so amazing? Can I treat something with the yoga? Can I change something in my life with yoga? And why it's not as good as doing exercise in the gym? So from this, I have so many questions about that, and people always trying to compare yoga to some exercises because there's many elements in dream or other type of physical activity taken from yoga, and many yoga being taught today is just a physical something you apply to your body. Maybe something to change your breath a little bit, and some people talk about pranayama and they're doing breathing technique, but sometimes they're not aware what they're actually doing. In the same time, people or some yoga teachers avoiding calling the prana or energy, and just trying to minimize it to terms like a breath work, breathing exercises, and there's even whole series of new exercises come out and techniques in schools which only teaching you how to breathe. I think there's one of them is holotropic breathing and so on. So there's so many different things, and why we should do all these things. Should we do it with yoga, on top of yoga, or should we just do yoga and it will all include that? So to start to talk about these type of things, which is very confusing for people who haven't done training, haven't done deep dive into the yoga science, and didn't talk to gurus, teachers, didn't read a lot of sources about that. For them, it's confusing. So I'm going to look into this book, Prana Pranayama, today. So, I'm not taking it from my head. I'm not imagining things. And so this book is from the Bihar school. That's the school, the lineage I've been trained with. And they have a lot of different series of books. One of them is Prana Pranayama. So here we just start with the very beginning, looking at what is the prana. And I will read something, so I'm not saying something from my head, and it's very well written. And then we'll talk about this little aspects. So what is prana? So pranayama, it's the breathing exercise. That's what you know, and that's what I do teach. And pranayama, it's mean taking control of your prana, or some people translated it like eating the prana or absorbing the prana, or mastering the prana. And the prana, that's the word that the root of the pranayama, and we will look at that. So what is pranayama? It's the very first chapter. What makes any motion possible? The blink of an eye, the budding on a flower, the splitting of atoms, or the fall of a meteor. Thousands of years ago, the yogis living in the shadow of the Himalayas fathomed the inherent quality of motion in creation, and they call it prana. So here it says that thousands of years ago, the yogis discovered something and they call it prana. One man roughly translates the word prana as energy or vital force. The word prana assumes the quality of livingness. From the yogic point of view, the entire cosmos is alive, throbbing with prana. So here they're trying to tell you that everything that's happening alive, and then we're going to touch about that aspects which not alive as well, it's possess some kind of form of energy. And these energies that be noticed, how we can do something in this world, blinking the eye or moving, or tree fall down, all these things. You can describe them as a normal physics law, but everything behind of everything, we have the life force or prana. And this prana is everywhere and everything, and it's come in the universe by itself. And you can pinpoint it, for example, on the earth and separate people, or in the body in separate parts. So this prana is everywhere. Prana is ever present in every aspect of creation. So the prana is something that we don't create or will not be destroyed. Like you cannot use all your prana. You can suppress it, don't use it or overuse it, but you cannot destroy it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. The prana within every created object gives existence in material form, whether it's a planet, an asteroid, a blade or grass or tree. If there were no prana, there would be no existence. If prana were withdrawn from the universe, there will be total disintegration. All beings, whether living or non-living, exist due to prana. Every manifestation, creation form part of the never-ending matrix of energy particles arranged in different densities, combinations, and variations. The universal principle of prana may be in a static or dynamic state, but is behind all existence on every plane of being from the highest to the lowest. So here I just described what I told you before, that everything exists because of the prana and arranged and behave in particular way. So we have atom of hydrogen and atom of carbon, and they have possess different properties, and it's just described by physical properties or the chemistry. But they also have this, the particular electrons tend to do something because they possess the prana, the energy. And some people really trying to equivalent it to geomagnetic force or biomagnetic force of the human body, because everything is charged. You know, if you will touch this particular bulb, and it might shine, it's from your energy. Or if you rub your hair, it might have static forces. It's not just as simple as that. So it's one of the aspects of the physical materialistic representation of the prana. Prana is the simplest as well as the most profound concept propounded by the seer. The tangible strength that enables the movement of one's hand is prana, and the intangible force invoked through a complex fire ritual is also prana. The wind blows and the river flow because of prana. Aircraft, trains, and cars move because of prana. Laser beams and radio waves travel because of prana. Every object in creation is floating in the vast, all-encompassing sea of prana and receiving everything they need to exist from it. It is said in one of the sources, Katha Upanishad, the whole world, whatever there is, vibrates, having originated from prana. The cosmic prana, also called Mahaprana. Maha, it's kind of like greater or the bigger in yoga. So the prana, Mahaprana, the cosmic prana, came into being at the time of creation. So whatever theory you're following of the creation of the world or our universe, that's when the Mahaprana come to the being. That's in order to fully understand prana, one must go back to the beginning of creation. So then we are considering the universal prana, play of prana in chitta. Chitta is the mind, individual prana, prana that you possess, receiving prana. And then pranic value of the food, where we get our prana from, of the air, how to work with prana. So it's all will be described in this book, in the experience of cosmic prana. In this book, it tells you through the yogic understanding, prana is this energy. We have different types of bodies. So our body is not just this physical, as you know. And if you studied at school physics, for example, you understand that everything have different types of energy, levels of energy you can talk about. As I told you, for example, our Earth, it has these physical values. It also have geomagnetic properties. We also have heat-cold type of energy in it. Sound, you know, and the light energies and fields. So it's all will have different kind of properties, and they arise from different reasons. And same with other bodies. So our body, it's not just the physical barrier, the atoms collected together in the molecules, creating the tissues, the nails, the hair, the bones, wherever we are there. That's the beauty of the yoga. We consider our body as it is in the creation, including and the prana, so your energy body, and all this related to that. So that will be all your chakras, nadis, channels, all this kind of stuff. Then you consider it different levels of the body. So for example, when you're thinking, you have thoughts in your head, ideas, memories. So all these aspects, it's not just something that's sitting on a flesh tissue of the brain or whatever it is. So if you biologist, you understand. It's something which beyond that, on top of that. Yeah. So, for example, I have my thoughts in my mind. In the same time, I have my back voice talking to me. If I'm a scientist and I open my brain or look at it, I cannot show what it is, and I cannot show where it's come from and where it's disappearing. Is it existing at all? So in yoga, we describe in all of these aspects, and we talk that yes, they exist, and we explain. It's very well explained in all scriptures where it's come from and where it goes. So your mind, it's your thinking body, the mind body. Then you have the emotions as well. They're a little bit separated. And the emotions kind of more, we feel it around the belly and the heart. Depends on the emotions. Sometimes they go even down below. And those emotions, either they fears or love. You can be thinking in the head one things, like I want to feel, for example, love, but your body will feel the fear, and you will be or consumed by this feeling, or your mind will overcome and you will calm yourself down, and on the physical level you start feeling the love. So that's all exists. And we differentiate all these different bodies, the koshas as well on top of it. So the prana body or the energy body, which you directly work with in your yoga class, will be the kind of second body. So the first body will be our food body, the simplest, the more growth. So that's just the molecules of what I eat, and I created my body through my exercise or activities, and in a simple way. And the next level will be my energy body. So that's not just like heat and cold, which you can feel from me, electrostatic, magnetic, some kind of properties. But it will be this actual prana which exists in the universe and in me as part of it. And some of it will be connected to this universal Mahaprana. Some of it I will create it through my practices, through my fears or my love. And some of us, if we good practitioners in yoga, we can even control this prana, so we can direct it in a particular part of the body or in somewhere else, or we can direct it to somebody else. And some people do this, they do healing of other people through that. So all of that, it's about the prana. And when you practice yoga, that's when you're not creating this prana body, it's already there. So it's like everything already there exists. So we're not inventing something in yoga. So you do not become enlightenment through creating enlightenment in your body or changing your body somehow. You just remembering how to use it or control it. So same with the prana. So you already have all the chakras, you already have the channels. You're not like creating them through yoga practice. You're rediscovering that you remember how to use them, and you start feel it and you start control it. And by the energy of your mind, you can use your prana and control it and activate chakras, channels, whatever you're interested in doing. So that's the difference between like physical exercise and doing yoga. So when you go to your physical exercise, we'll come back to the main question. You go to gym and you apply whatever energy you apply on particular physical aspects of your food body. For example, I want to work on my shoulders, so I'm going to work on my tissues, the connecting the muscles, or actually building up the muscles. So I'm going to take weights and do specific repetitions, or I'm going to stretch it after. So I'm going to stretch those ligaments and the muscles as well to remove toxins and create flexibility in the joints. That's not what we're doing in yoga. So when you're doing in yoga your asanas practices, you will take particular positions of the body. It could be something on your shoulder, for example, or something you want to strengthen your shoulders. And the physical aspects will be the result of your applying, changing your energy body. So in yoga, first and the most, when we do asanas, we changing the energy, your prana body. And through that, it will affect your physical. So you will not, like in the dream, I'm going to do this particular push-ups and in 1 month I have this particular result. In yoga, you practice yoga and it will affect in any different aspects of you. Energetic, particular chakras, or your mind. Sometimes you'll create more connection to your spiritual bodies and so on. So that's what we do. Some people use the asanas as well to start awakening Kundalini and direct the energy channels through somewhere. So all these aspects, that's what we were doing in yoga practice. And it's happening no matter you're aware of it or not. So when you come to yoga class and you have not just a gym trainer who say they teach, stretching exercise. I don't think you can call it yoga, but if it's actually a yoga teacher, even if you don't believe in yoga, you don't ever felt your body, you don't understand anything, not words, not bodies, koshas, all this stuff, it will apply to you anyway. So because it's just a human structure, the law. Like if I don't believe in the gravity, it doesn't mean my body won't be pressed by the gravity towards the earth. So this is still applied to me. Same with yoga. We all have all these bodies, we all have energies, chakras, and no matter we're aware of them or not, or we're thinking about this or working on it or not, we don't believe in them, they still apply. So that's what we, looking at prana, and that's what prana does in yoga. So when you go to yoga practice, and we're not just doing this with the asanas. So the asanas is more kind of preparing you for deeper practices in yoga. And then at the end, you all lie down on the floor and have some kind of little sequence guided by the teacher. And that's when you start connecting to your prana body or other bodies, as I say, mental, emotional, whatever, the spiritual body, and you getting into those deeper layers, step by step. It's kind of like a diving into the deep pool or the ocean. You go in first, you're on the surface of the water when you're just starting your yoga, then you dive in next level, and next level you go deeper, and it's everything changes there, and you get connection to everything. You're getting deep into the roots. And some people describe it like peeling the onion. So you have onion with many skins, if you ever seen the onion, and in the middle there's this little core, and this is your, for example, spiritual body, whatever you're trying to get to. Or your high self. And then we practicing yoga, so we're removing first the bigger and rougher skins, and then we're going to the more thinner layers, the more sensitive, and step by step you're creating connection to yourself. So that's what in general the difference between yoga practice and any other physical activities. And yes, the physical body will follow your practice, so your limbs become softer, they're opening up, your body become different, so the different properties, you're removing toxins, healthier back, you release the tightness in particular parts, but you will not just doing it by physical application of particular asanas, physical pressure or releasing the pressure. You were doing it by changing the energy of this body. So for example, often we have, we talk about the chakras, and I have a course about this as well. We talk about, so we have this kind of like a blockages or places where we dissipating energy and it's not accumulated and moving up through. And that's why we have like a bridge. So that's where you losing energy or you have a disease developing. When you're this aura, the energy body is not fully nicely operated like a well-oiled machine. It's have holes everywhere, you're losing your energy and it doesn't even go where it's supposed to go, and you feel less happy, you feel pain, and eventually, as a last thing, your physical body will experience the pain. And the pain, the first signal that you have something happening with your energy body in other bodies, so something mentally can happen. And it doesn't have to be that you injured your knee or shoulder. It could be that you have negative thoughts come through your recent life, or somebody put it on you through, I don't know, news or whatever. And without your will, it's recorded into your subconscious, and it will affecting your mental body, then it's affecting your emotions, it's affecting your physical body at the last. So energy and then the physical body at the last. And when you come to the yoga teacher or yoga guru, whatever you call somebody who knows about yoga, what it is, they will try to holistically look at you, and they will tell you which practice might help you to get rid of this negativity and heal your energy body, emotional, mental body, and the physical. And the prana, it's amazing, this energy life force. It's exists in everybody. It's even exists in the trees and the leaves, and people even manage to start photographing it so you can see it. And sometimes you heard about things like people lose limb, for example, hand or leg, and they still have this phantom pain in it. So why would they have it? They shouldn't. There's no nerves left. They've been cut off or whatever. How people experience this phantom pain. So the thing is that on different bodies, they still have this imprint, the blueprint, you would say, of the arm. So if you remove the arm, it doesn't disappear. The energy body of the arm is still there. all the other aspects is still there. You just don't have actual physical body of this arm. And for the rest of your life, you will experience that the presence of this energetic kind of imprint of this arm. So that's how people experience phantom pains. And a scientist, of course, today, or doctors will explain you, it's in your mind, in your brain. And yes, it is that eventually everything actually it's on our mind. This is our operator. That's where we're receiving information. But while we experience, there won't be actual explanation. There will be explanations like, oh, supposedly you feel it in your mind. Yes, we feel everything in the mind. Even our vision, smell, it doesn't happen outside, touch. It doesn't happen where I actually touch the wall because the signals coming through my nerves and they register it in the mind and transform this information into these signals. That's where actually I experience the touch. But it doesn't mean that my hand doesn't exist and it doesn't touch in the wall, you know what I mean? So the same with this phantom feeling. So this is kind of like one of the proofs. And same with the trees, people doing experiments like photographing this energy prana body of the tree, for example, the leaf. And when you cut off the piece of the leaf on aura or the energy body of this leaf, it will still be that part of the leaf. It doesn't mean this energy will be good or not having holes and disappearing or something like that, but it will be there. So same with us. So when you go to step up into the yoga class, you're not just going there to work on your physical body. It will be like a product and result of your practice. It won't be the main goal and main achievement through your yoga practice. The main first things you might feel after you come to the yoga class, that you feel more present, more balanced, calmer mind. You feel like those were things you've been worried about, they maybe not that serious. And many people, they feel more relaxed, of course, and they feel that some pain might dissipate or get less, or they start feeling the body, which they haven't felt for a long time. So I encourage you to come to yoga classes and experience it on yourself. Hari Om. Hari Om. Let's continue to our understanding of the prana. And that's what I cited from Prana Pranayama book, the Bihar school. So today we looked at the term universal prana. We touched last time. So what it says here. At the beginning, there was nothing, not even creation. What existed was an all-pervasive, unmanifested consciousness, known in the scriptures as Para Brahman. And that's what all the religions told us about. In the beginning, there was nothing. It contained within it all the qualities and components necessary for creation. The whole universe lay infinitely contracted in it as a mere potency. Prana remained completely absorbed in it, as if in union of deep embrace. It was a state of perfect equilibrium and harmony. And in this utter silence, there is a movement. And then Tantric and Vedic literature states that a desire arose in that absolute principle. I am one, let me become many. This primal energy called Mahaprana is variously known as Maha, Shakti, Mahamaya, the cosmic creatrix, or the cosmic mother. Prana was never separated from consciousness. It existed eternally as a potential in consciousness, but now it's assumed itself. So before, when there was nothing, there was a prana, Mahaprana in the consciousness, and then it started realizing itself. Thus, energy and consciousness become to interact with each other. The awakening of Mahaprana was like a self-projection of the I-ness, of the infinite consciousness. The unchanging consciousness could experience itself through the movement of prana. In the course of time, modification took place in the states of consciousness and energy, and with each modification, a different level of creation came into being. Here we will talk about the prana and the chitta. Consciousness, it's the chitta, word chitta, and there's a different ways of sources of the prana, of its realization. And when we talk about the process to going back to itself, it's mean we're going back to the source, And that's the one of the main direction of all the spiritual practices, not evolution, to separate yourself from the prana, from the source, but involution, when we're coming back to the source, Play of prana and chitta. And in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, in verse 2, there's a thread that when prana moves, chitta, consciousness, moves. When prana is without movement, chitta is without movement. So they are like both sides of the same. Both prana and consciousness must be present for life to exist. The conscious experience is chitta, takes one closer to the conscious experience is prana, and that which motivates prana is vasana, inherent desire. So prana is vasana, and vasana are the two supports of consciousness. A living being is called a prani, one who has prana and thus consciousness. It is not that consciousness is the cause of existence and prana the result, nor is prana the cause or consciousness the result. There are two aspects of existence which determine the nature of everything. The consciousness, here says being, awareness, knowledge. Prana is becoming, manifestation through motion. Consciousness is a dormant experience, whereas prana is the active principle of manifest energy. They are the two eternal principles that are the basis of the macrocosmos and the microcosmos. Everything is a combination of prana and chitta. The entire universe, creation, existence are play of consciousness and energy. The life force and mental force permeate every atom and cell of the universe, though remaining at different degrees of separation. And there's not much to be told about this aspect, so that's just explanation of basically the creation and that the prana consciousness, that's the two parts of one and how they interact with each other. And when we then we look in the aspects of individual prana, so that's when we start separate individual prana. Prana is a great friend, it says in the scriptures. Prana is the greatest companion. A fair one, there is no closer friend in the universe than prana. And all beings are composites of prana, which gives them life and existence. Some persons are more successful, commanding and fascinating than others due to the level of the prana. In the Prana Pranayama explains that prana springs from the Atman and it's inseparable from the self as the shadow for one who casts it. And often the prana translated as the breath, and that's what commonly we use it today, pranayama or the breath work, you know that. However, prana is not the oxygen or the air, and neither it's the breath. Yeah? Yogics have proved that one can stop breathing for a long period of time and yet continue to live. As experiments once conducted in some United States research facility, and in this experiment there was electrodes connected to the person, to the yogi, and they will register his heart, brain, different parts of the body. His nose and ears were blocked, so he was not supposedly breathing or getting any air. And his whole body was smeared with wax so that air would not pass through the pores. Very intensified. After 3 minutes, the candle went out. There was a candle in the room, and after 15 minutes, the monkey felt cautious. So they put the monkey and the candle in the room to prove the experiment. Poor monkey. Now the Brahmananda, he was continuing playing tabla for 14 minutes after that. Yeah? And in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there's a verse again about this. As long as the vayu, the prana, it's like a wind translation, the flow of the prana remains in the body, there is a life. Death occurs when your vayu leaves the body. Therefore, retain the vayu. So we have prana in everything, and we have conscience, and the prana need to be moved and observed, yeah, by our conscience, awareness. And when we practice yoga, we start, that's what we're doing most of the time, 90%. We're not like working on our physical, we do, but as I say in the previous talk, that we waking up and learning to control our prana and use it for our benefits, for lives, for healing our physical body, change it, modify it, calm down our mental body, or change our emotional body. kind of changing our psychology, psychiatry, and feelings. Prana is used as the main kind of instrument in yoga, but everybody has this. Everybody has it like a given, but some people have dissipating prana, so like escaping, running away prana through some activities they do through life, and that's where the disease is coming from. In a yoga practice, and you feel it straight away after first yoga practice you're done, even a short one or long one, doesn't matter, you feel this prevailing presence and energy and sensations that you do not need to get prana from somewhere else, from the food sources or go to the forest for oxygen or something like that. So we learn to recognize the prana that already exists in us, given, and connect to the source of it and start using it properly. So prana is the dynamic principle within everything. Everyone is born with a certain quantum of prana, but the quantity and quality change continuously as one goes through the life. That's what I said. Positive thoughts, high feeling, and yogic practices generate high level of prana. And also, it's not just it generates; it's also you will not lose it through anything. Sometimes even bad posture causes losing the prana, but most of the time we dissipate the energy through like habits, through worries or through fears, through all these unnecessary, not so much positive aspects of our lives. When the sexual energy is sublimated or transformed, substantial prana is conserved within the system and converted into ojas. It's a subtler form of energy. A yogi stores an abundance of prana within him, just as batteries store electricity. He is a powerhouse of energy, providing prana to everyone who comes in contact with him. Swami Shivananda says, just as water flows from one vessel to another, prana flows like a steady current from a developed yogi towards weak persons. At the material level, one also receives prana from the environment, food, water, sun, and air. All the elements are comprised of prana. So the quantum of prana within each individual is influenced by the quality of the elements to which one is exposed and which one ingests in the course of everyday life. So that's what I said. As many yogis proving, you don't have to get this, rely on this material, kind of environmental sources like water, air, food. The more you practice yoga, the more you feel you don't need to eat as much food. So there will be the moment when you start feeling like you feel extra hungry, so you start moving a lot of energy. But then when you surpass it, there will be the moment when you cool down this hunger for physical food. As I said, many yogis proved that, like in this experiment, you don't need to even breathe in if you can still moving via the prana within your body. And there's different aspects of this via wind within our body, so it's kind of like within our bodies, prana body, and we will talk about this in future lectures. And the way to accumulate that, how to work with them, that's all the yoga science throughout. So let's look to the pranic values of food briefly. So in Bhagavad Gita, it refers to the quality of prana in different foods. And that's why we come to this Ayurvedic aspects of the yoga as well. It could be considered as a separate knowledge, Ayurveda. And we can look at this as a part of the yoga. So we have sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic types of food. Yogic advice is to have a purified diet, so remove all these unnecessary foods that will only deplete in your energy, and especially if you're practicing more higher levels of yoga like pranayama and meditation and so on. And with this sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic energies as well, that's why the Ayurveda looking at the food, so it's not stated here, but probably it's somewhere else. Tamasic, it's the energy of the depletion, stagnation, and it's the very foods that are gonna make you sluggish, make you weak, and they're gonna deplete in your energy. Rajasic food, it's the foods that give you a lot of energy, but sometimes it's too much, so they too excited you. And in yoga, we tend to go to something which is very sattvic. Sattvic, it's very balancing, bring you to the central, bring you clearness to your mind, nourish you, and bring you higher self, to spirit. So, for example, tamasic foods will be like a white bread, for example, dairy products, of course meat, but we're not talking about eating meat in yoga. So it will be one of those that make you heavy, and it will just take more energy for you to digest, and there will be more negative effect on you physically and spiritually than positive. Rajastic might be in some small quantities okay, but if you overeat, for example, garlic or onion, make it too excited. Everything spicy we put there, everything to give you too much accelerated energy. It burns very fast. And sattvic will be something very calming, with a little bit of warming spices. Actually accelerate your digestion, as it says, fresh fruit and vegetables. You can even survive for long, like years, just eating fresh fruits and some vegetables, slightly cooked vegetables. You don't need like more. In the yogis, we're trying to have a main meal from a sattvic type of foods, yeah? Pure air is essential for life, of course, and for the health. But it's not only because of the oxygen, but it's also because of this prana, which is the source of prana, basically. And the moment you start breathing more correctly, when you change the patterns of your breathing, and that's what's happening in yoga. I see people come into the yoga class, and after first couple pranayamas or just holding some poses with directed awareness on the breathing, they feel released. They feel straight away differently, or they feel like they used to feel, but not anymore. And that's because we don't even aware. Often we do not have a good rhythm of the breathing, so it will be too shallow, or too fast, or too stagnant type of breathing. So you breathe out, not breathing into the whole capacity of your lungs. And it might cause even more problems because you have a lot of stagnation in your lungs. And you'll be surprised that people usually use only about 18-20%. 20% will be like a good people like who are swimmers or singers. The majority of people use only like less than 18% of your capacity of your lungs. And can you imagine what's staying there in the lungs can cause this stagnant mucus there. And that's where the D is coming from. Asthma is a very common one. And why we don't breathe correctly? Well, we were born and we knew how to breathe, and then something happened, and that's the life. So we have some kind of emotional, physical impressions, bad habits, bad posture. Anything can cause a stress, can cause maybe a little child saw something not very pleasant on the street, and it's affected him and the way of breathing. As well, the type of food you eat, behavior, posture, how you sleep, how you hold yourself through the day, what type of activities you do, and will all affect your breathing pattern. But in the modern world, a lot of it's psychological. What we are thinking, what other people told us, and what we think we expect to do for other people, or how we're supposed to behave. And when we do not fulfill this imaginary goals, we start feeling anxious, tired, exhausted, sad, or shamed, and it's affect our breathing. So it's the same, both sides of the same coin. And then you can physically start changing your breathing pattern, and you start feeling less obliged, less shame, less scared. And at the same time, you will, if you start working psychologically with you, so you start letting go what other people thinking about you, your breathing will improve. So it's both good. And the very good start is to start going to pranayama classes, yoga classes, yoga sessions, and you just practice this in the class, controlled with the teacher, in a very quiet, peaceful environment. And your body will remember that on subconscious and physical level. And through the day, even you still exposed to the stress, your body will tend to bring it to this more peaceful, calmer condition when you can breathe deeply and more correctly. And that's why even 2, 3, 5 minutes per day of conscious breathing can improve your breathing through the day dramatically, and through the sleep as well. Let's talk about working with prana. So there's quite a big paragraph about that. So the prana is not received solely from external sources. It's also self-generated, and its quality can be refined and directed. That's kind of what we briefly talked about. One can work with one's own prana to enhance vitality, will, and strength, cure diseases, boost capabilities, and evolve to a higher consciousness. In fact, one must work with prana shakti, force of prana, in order to perfect any experience in life. This is the aim of pranayama and pranavidya, which are tangible methods to enhance and guide prana. Let's basically summarize what I already said. And we have practices, shakti bandhas, when we start awakening this energy. Usually I put them in the beginner, first third of the class, when we do a lot of maybe a little bit more intensive breathing, some movement intensive, so waking up energy, give it a push. And then you, of course, at the end of your practice or through the practice, some pranayamas, but usually after the asanas, we practice pranayama, some bandhas, it's locks, and then we go into some meditations. And only when we practice this in a very well structured order, it will have a dramatic, purpose effect. But even if you have specific technique and you can practice anytime through the day, if it's okay to practice before bed, it doesn't accelerate it too much, you can do it anytime, morning the best, evening, or sometime through the day. It will still have effect on you, as I said. So the breath is external manifestation of prana. The yogis state that prana is sustained in duration of life, is prolonged by deliberately decreasing the distance of the exhale air. Based on this fact, they devised a technique to measure the prana expended during different actions. They stated that the pranic outflow can be gauged by observing the length of the exhalation during different actions. The longer the air current, the more prana is utilized. The average length of exhale air is 12 digits, 9 inches, while singing the length of becomes 16 digits, 1 foot. Well, basically, the singer, they have a little bit longer capacity, while eating 20 digits, while sleeping 30 digits, and while performing physical exercises is much longer. Maximum prana is utilized by the brain. If the brain is not supplied with sufficient prana, the mind becomes restless and disturbed and constantly divides into negative thoughts. So that's another aspect. And so the breath is gross and prana is subtle. The two are connected. And it says here you can influence the level of your prana with the breath. That's what we're doing. Working with the breath, and leads to pranavidya, inner knowledge or experience of prana. So that's kind of like a vidya of prana, like you are aware of the prana within your body. You're aware what's happening with this, you're aware where it's dissipate, you're aware how to control it, how to move it in particular parts, and this kind of sorts. Significant outcome of pranic awareness is that one is able to gain control over the mind. So the moment we control and aware of prana, we can control our mind as well. Because majority of the problem comes to us, even on the physical level, it's from the mind. The mind is screwing with everything else in our body. By developing sensitivity to prana, one becomes more aware of the subtle forces of the mind, which arise in the form of thoughts, feelings, emotions, responses, impressions, symbol, and knowledge. Prana is grosser than the mind and hence easier to control. So we are using the prana. That's where I start today talk with in yoga to and affect our physical body, having control, heal it, change it, and to affect our more subtle aspect of ourselves, thoughts, emotions, and the spiritual being. So the prana and breathing, it's the easiest way to do it. Yeah? Not for some, but the moment you start practicing yoga, it's all come to you. And the last aspects of this chapter about the prana, what is the prana? It's the experience of cosmic prana. The individual prana within each being is a part of the cosmic sea of Mahaprana. But until this truth is realized experientially, one sees oneself as a separate from the rest of the universe. So it's a very important part of the yoga science that the moment you separate yourself from everything around you, from other beings and from the universe, from the air, you don't realizing that you are present here in the space which present here as well. So together, our breathing When we're in a room with somebody or just by ourselves, we're exchanging the air in the room with ourselves or the living beings or the other person. And it's not just we exchanging the breath as the oxygen and combination of the atoms and molecules. We in gases, we exchanging the energy, vitality, thoughts, desires, fears, and all these sorts. The moment you start realizing and feeling this, you will understand yourself better when you're in a group of people, when you're by yourself, how to calibrate yourself, how to not be driven by somebody else's ideas and opinions, desires. They might even not tell you this, but you will feel the desires. Here then there's a paragraph, a very interesting way describing how the more we practice yoga, the more prana become aware of the prana, and then it's happening around here on our head in ajna, and then we start waking up our kundalini, and then what's happened after. And I talk about this in my course on chakras. Very good detail, and we will have specific practices to feel it. Even if you've never done yoga, you do not understand what is prana, what is chakra, you never experienced this, through these practices, you can actually start feeling them. And you will, even just listening to my lecture, you will understand you already experienced it before, you just were not aware of it. And it's all within us, and the whole yoga practice is a Kundalini practice, just a normal Hatha yoga or just a general yoga practice. It's all about start recognize this energy within you, remembering how to feel it, and to remember that you are already an enlightened person. So enlightenment, not something that we're achieving at the end, somewhere there, it's something going to happen with us. No, it's something that already happened, we already know about it, but we just forgot. So through the yoga practice, we're just trying to remember it. And next time we look for different koshas, touch a little bit on the chakras in aspects of the prana. And blessings from me. Hari Om. Hi Om. Today we continue to look in some aspects of yoga which you can dive a little bit deeper through reading the books of my school which I follow, the Prana Pranayama here, the Bihar school, and we look in some aspects of the yoga so you can understand deeper the essence of the practice of yoga and use it for your own benefit, for efficient, happy life you want to live. And today's aspect is the PANCHA Koshas. Kosha, translated as a body or sheets that we have. This is essence of the understanding yoga practice, and that's what we work with these different bodies, and we're working through them gradually to bring ourselves to more enlightenment state and healthier and happier life. And here we're considering the Pancha Koshas, the 5 kosha, 5 bodies we have. And I will have some readings and some commentary so you can listen it as a lecture or in the background and maybe get more information and understanding of it. So here it says the vital sheets, the Pancha Koshas. Pancha means 5. According to yoga, a human being is capable of experiencing 5 dimensions of existence, 5 dimensions, which are called Pancha Kosha or 5 sheets. They are the 5 spheres in which a human being lives at any given moment, and they range from gross to subtle. And they are Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. So there are 5 these aspects, and they saying they're coming from the growth, so more physical, into the more subtle, more spiritual and energetic one. And we already talked about this before, so one of the main body we have here and experience directly is the physical body, which we get used to think about ourselves as, and it's the first one. The first sheet or level experienced is the physical body or Annamaya Kosha. The word Anna means food, and Maya comprised of, so we translated the food body as our physical body. It's, as we all say, you are what you eat, we know that. It's a gross level of existence and it's referred to as the food sheet due to its dependence on food, water, and air. So it's kind of more physical representation of ourselves in this dimension, in this world. This sheet is also dependent on prana. While it's possible to live without food for up to 6 weeks, without the water for up to 6 days, and the air for 6 minutes, Life ceases immediately the moment prana is withdrawn from us. So as you heard about many cases when people have some kind of deep sleeps, or they don't eat for a long time, or they even some yogis in deep meditation, and they don't eat, don't drink, or even don't breathe for like a long time, not just for 6 minutes as they say here, but because they're very experienced, so they are using other bodies to sustain the being. But the moment you lost prana, that's when no prana, there's no life in that body. Physical body is the one which you directly affect, and we do a lot of practice in yoga. We directly do asanas, to directly imply energy through tightening some muscles or releasing the muscles, taking positions, and by cleaning the body, putting oils, by taking food, not taking food, breathing out. So directly affecting this body, massaging it. So this is all about the physical body. And as I said already, the energy body, the next body will depends and influence your physical body. So the kind of most gross will depend more on more subtle bodies ones. But in the same time, applying some kind of pressure, or just taking asana, for example, we can affect other bodies through the physical body. So you can use it both ways, yeah, in both directions. And second sheet is the Pranamaya Kosha. And we talked about this a little bit because we talk about prana, the energy field of the individual or the person. The level of experience here is more subtle than the physical body, which is pervades and supports. And that's what I just said. This sheet is supported in turn by the subtle koshas. So the over the pranamaya kosha, there's the next, the manamaya kosha, and then it will be the one that directly affect the pranamaya kosha. Together, the physical and pranic bodies constitute the basic human structure, which is referred as Atmapuri, city of soul. They form the vessel for the experience of the higher bodies. So because we in this world, in this, we tend to think about this like a three-dimensional with a four-dimensional time world, physical, we have walls, we have laws which apply to us, and we have these particular bodies here, and here it says that these ones in combined with prana body, pranamaya body, will give us this the main physical through main essence through which we experience this world, yeah. And usually that whatever is beyond, it's still affected here, it's still here, but it's on different levels, and we're not every day is kind of consciously aware of it. And some people through the life they're not aware of it. They're not even aware of the prana body, which is a little bit scary, yeah? Because prana body is the main essence of your being. Yeah? The pranamaya kosha is the basics for the practices of pranamaya and pranavidya. It also described as the pranic, astral, or etheric, or etheric counterpart of the physical body. So whatever people talk about, astral body or aura, you know, like we have these colors of the aura, in the old scriptures of saints, for example, I don't know, like Jesus or his apostles, they were drawing these things around the body, so that they were drawing the astral body or the aura or the actually prana maya kosha. So now when you go to church, you can differently see what they depicted there. It has almost the same shape and dimensions as the flesh and blood, so my physical body, although it's capable of expansion and contraction. And in Taittiriya Upanishad, translated here, that verily besides this physical body, which is made of the essence of the Buddha, there is another inner self comprised of vital energy by which this physical self is filled. Just as the fleshy body is in the form of a person, accordingly, these vital selves in the shape of a person. Let's just say that this is two essence of the one. So usually this pranic body, colored, luminous cloud or aura around the body, radiating from within the physical body, like sun flaring from behind the eclipse in Mo. So it was a sun eclipse just recently, and you can observe that. Even though the sun itself is just this molten material, yeah, hydrogen, nitrogen, we can see it in a red circle, sphere, but rather there's a lot of all sorts of energy, and we call it the sun wind, sun energy. It's affecting us, radiation, affecting our headache, affecting our processes on our planets. Even though we're so far from the sun, similar with the human, the sun is just like one of the high levels of the human soul being. So you physically materialize yourself, energetically, pranically. There's also other more subtle aspects of the sun which we're not aware of, but it's still affecting us. Yeah? And actually, people, it says here, the Kirlian high voltage photography can show the prana, and there's a lot of experience done when people photograph the hand, for example, and you can see this aura around the arm. Photographed the leaf, for example, of the tree, same. So everything that life being in this world, it's have the same life force, the prana, and we can see it. It's kind of like an energy field, and even amputated limb can be felt for quite some time after, because you still have this remnants of the energy field. Yeah, and that's what I told you in one of the first lectures. The third sheet is Manamaya Kosha, the mental dimension. So this is everything related to your mind, thinking, thoughts, memories, and all these kind of electric neurological processes. The level of experience in the conscious minds which hold the two grosser koshas, Annamaya and Pranamaya, together as an integrated whole. It is the bridge between the outer and the inner worlds, conveying the experiences and sensations of the external world to the intuitive body, and the influences of the causal and intuitive bodies to the growth bodies. So you see the Manamaya, it's like this conveyor, it processes everything and transforms this physical or sensational or energetic information into more subtle, and vice versa. Manamaya Kosha, this is everything. It's kind of more around your Chitta Kasha, the mind, thinking process. However, it's not just around the head and brain. We have it also in the body, in the spinal as well. It doesn't have such specific borders as well in the body. The fourth sheet is Vijnanamaya Kosha, the psychic level of experience which relates to the subconscious and unconscious mind. So this is all those which will work when we do yoga nidra, deep relaxations. We're releasing this all the impressions that have been stored in this life or not even this life. Everything that we're not aware but being recorded by us, and because it's it's hard to check that it's true. It's so not direct, straightforward, like physical body or even prana body. Many people on that point, people discard yoga or all this knowledge as the truth. They start saying, this is all kind of imaginary things, voodoo science and so on, spiritual things which not exist. However, every child on this planet who born, he already have this loads of stored impressions, fears that imprinted in him. It's not just genetics. It's not, we cannot discard everything that happened with the soul to genetics. Memories. Some children remember other languages or previous lives. Some people have intuition, premonition about something that's going to happen or already happened. Some people have unexplained fears of anything, dog or flies, for example. And through yoga, we can directly release it and understand where it's come from. So it's again this realm. If you don't believe in the gravity, as I always say, it's not apply to you. You cannot go and jump from the cliff thinking, I don't believe in gravity, so it's not going to apply for me this time. It does apply to you no matter where you are and what you believe in. Yeah. So this sphere pervades Manamaya Kosha, but it's subtle than it. So it's another level that's on top of it. Vijnanamaya Kosha is the link between the individual and universal mind. So we're already getting into this more deeper connection to this universal mind, to the, you can call it God or universal existence. Inner knowledge comes to the conscious mind from this level. When this sheet is awakened, one begins to experience life as intuitive level, to see the underlying reality behind our appearances. This leads to wisdom. So that's the one, the body which you become very tuned, what will happen. Many people, without knowing that it's happening with them, start experiencing, you might experience all this awakening of this body through your birth. You don't have to practice yoga to do it. And some people have to practice yoga for many, many years before they get to this level. We're all different. But in the same time, sometimes people think that it's something wrong with them. They might some mental disease can develop because they don't understand. They start having fears. They think it's all some kind of premonition or they're going crazy. And they just need to find a good teacher, guru, who can explain them what is what, where it's come from, and how to deal with it, how to understand it, control it, maybe use it for your own benefit, or don't, So there's many aspects of that. The fifth sheet is Ananda Maya Kosha. And Ananda, it's this higher self, the level of bliss, and this is causal or transcendental body. And it's the most subtle prana. So when you come into that level, you already become in this transcendental experience when people get enlightenment. And if you can control from that level, you master all the other bodies, all the other koshas. Talk about prana and koshas. All the 5 sheets are pervaded by prana, and it's nourish and sustain them and maintain the appropriate relationship. So the prana is kind of like a blood, blood within our body, in the physical body. It's bringing nutrition from one point, remove the toxins from other, and clean stuff. So without the blood, we cannot operate properly. It will be just a number of different tissues which are not connected, not working together as one. Similar the prana, that's how I see it in connecting all these 5 koshas bodies. How prana operates in between the koshas can be understood by example of the gear shift in a car. And if you drive it automatic, these days most people driving and never doing the gear shift, maybe it won't be a straightforward example for you. But think about it, one moves in between the gears through the neutral. So we have this neutral, if you're driving a stick, you have this neutral, and to go to first gear, you go neutral first and then to the one. And if you're going to switch for second one, you have to go neutral first and then you go to the second. So that's what's happened. I'm showing with the left hand because in New Zealand we drive on the left side and we're using the left hand for the gear. One moves in between the gears through the neutral. The car is also stopped and reversed by first putting it into neutral. Neutral is not a gear. The gears are the first, second, third, fourth. Reverse, however, without the neutral space in between, one cannot shift from one gear to other. The same principle applies to the koshas. The Pranamaya kosha is the neutral space, allowing one to move from Annamaya kosha to Manamaya kosha, from Manamaya to Vijnanamaya kosha, and so on. One must use the faculty of prana shakti in order to move from any one state to another. Therefore, the dimension of energy is like the neutral space in the gearbox. Activation with activation of prana 1 gains access to the physical, mental, psychic, and spiritual dimension. So the prana, control of the prana, and that's why we spend so much time in yoga working on the prana, and we always use it in all other deeper practices. We start with prana. And that's the great advice for you. If you don't even practice yoga, don't even understand what I'm talking about, you want to do something and you have panic attack, or opposite, you feel too excited or too sad, or overwhelmed with thoughts, or opposite, too depressed, we always suggest, and even people in psychiatry knowledge suggest you to bring your awareness to the breath. So start first watching your breath, and then a little bit change it, control it, and then you can release this whatever blockage you have right now. It could be spiritual, mental, physical. Same when you're exercising, we're using the breath to go deeper into the asanas, to release the muscles, to slow down, to control. If you, for example, competing in any sports, without proper breath work and understanding how your breath helps you in particular culminative situation, when you could be just because of stress or something, you can lose the breath and everything can go wrong. If you master your breathing outside of the practice, when you're in a practice, it will come to you naturally and you will more efficient. The next aspects we will touch here, it's the ascending through the koshas. So if you think about what is yoga, apart from what you understand about yoga, if you only understand it's on the level, let's release the body, making the body more beautiful, flexible, strong, healthier. A lot of people start practice yoga because first thing that the yoga does is start bringing you a little bit more health into your presence in your mind and health in the body. But this is the, as I always say, it's the byproduct of the yoga practice. The main aim, goal, and what we're trying to do in yoga is to master those bodies so we can get into our higher transcendent states with our own will in this life. Not just by some kind of accident or when we already live in this body, we're going into the higher realms. But we can do it here, right now. And we're not gaining this as some kind of knowledge that's coming from within. We have to learn, to like a skill, and we're getting there as a yogi practitioner. We just are trying to remember ourselves as we used to do. That's how it's been described, and that's how we approach in the yoga practice. So whatever you do there on the mat and your practice in your everyday life, you're coming back to yourself slowly. Yeah? And by doing this, you're getting into this higher levels, higher Koshas, and you get more conscious and realized, and coming back to your high self, where you are yourself, you're happy, you're present, you don't move from one place to other when you don't understand what you're supposed to do or why, and you don't understand how this world works. Many people like that, they're like, oh, there's so much suffering, there's no God in this world, all these kind of things which coming not from being understanding who you are first. So that's what we're doing in yoga. We're coming back to ourselves to understand who we are, why we're here, and what is our dharma, what is our purpose of being here in this moment, in this body right now. And here it's explaining ascending through the koshas as a yoga practice. The aim of a yoga aspirant is to attain high level of consciousness by piercing through koshas after kosha after kosha. Yeah? Moving from body to the body. All yogic practices facilitating this aim. Shatkarmas, for example, directly influence Annamaya kosha and allow the consciousness to penetrate the next level, Pranamaya kosha. Shatkarmas, when we do cleansing practices, for example, when I wash my nostrils and I do my morning drinking a lot of water and cleansing my digestive tract practice. So I'm directly applied to my physical body, and through that I awaken my energy prana body. So we're freeing and the flow of the prana. That's what exactly we're doing. We're kind of washing through our blockages in our pipes. Yeah? The asanas have a similar influence. They clear the blockages in the Annamaya kosha, in your physical body, and as a consequence influence the Pranamaya kosha. That's what I talked before. As one advances in one practice of asana, the range of this influence becomes subtle, and the Pranamaya kosha is more directly influenced. Pranamaya practices influence Pranamaya kosha and indirectly affect Manamaya kosha, so your mind world, so next body. So that's what we're doing. Purification of the first three sheets opens the door to the fourth sheet, Vijnanamaya kosha, the sheet of intuition. How and when Anandamaya kosha is penetrating, however, remains a mystery. It's very high self. It might come to you straight away or after prolonged practices. And all this so depends on where you practice, your state of mind, where you are, what your past experience, what is your karmic relationship, so how much you accumulated this blockages within the body. You might be not aware that it exists. It will be on some subtle level, as it says here, not just in the physical, just the last representation of something happening, some blockages within your energy, prana, or manamaya kosha, or somewhere else. And you can see a lot of people, I see, especially through this many students or people who come for help through yoga therapy, they have something bothering them on this mind state, manamaya kosha, and then it's affecting, of course, the energies that depleting or going away in some aspects too much, losing the energy in some aspects, and as a result, the physical body suffers. Yeah, of course. Or somebody doing something physically repetitively, and by doing this they changing the energy body, pranamaya, and it's changed the mind. So it's a two-way road here. Yeah. Nevertheless, the 5 sheets are interlinked, and what happened in one affect the other. The activation of pranic force leads to the development of healing abilities, so that energy can be used to repair the wounds of life. Purification of manamaya kosha result in clarity of thought and balanced expression of emotions and ego. There is a better understanding of different conditions and situations, and greater creativity in the realms of buddhi, intellect, and kriya action. That's kind of summarize what I say. You are changing understanding of the world as well, just through your asanas of yoga, aware you of it or not. And often we have this imposed on us thoughts or ideas which blockade our mind, and as a result we're suffering physically, energetically. Yeah? You can understand how it works. For example, I read the book and I understand, okay, so the world is everything I experience in my life. It will be the reaction to my actions in the past, or it will be something that I need right now to progress, to step over, to let it go. You can mentally understand it, but not feel it throughout physically. Your body will still resist through emotions, through fears, through disease, or not enough energy or too much energy directed to the wrong cause. And that's why the yoga comes from. Because here you cannot just have one or just understanding and everything going to work out, or just I physically work on my body and everything going to fall into place. No, you have to approach very holistically and together. When Anamaya and Pranayama are cleansed, there is no longer any barrier between them and Manamaya. So physical and energy body will cleanse. We can do it physically as well through the practices. And Shatkarmas, 7 Shatkarmas in yoga directed to that. And the mind will become clearer as well as a result. Mind, body, and energy can work in union. And that's what will come to bring you to Vijnanamaya Kosha. When the psychic sheet is accessed, concentration becomes refined and the deeper mind comes to the surface. The psychic experiences in extrasensory perception manifest and deep-rooted samskaras are purged. So samskaras is these impressions that accumulated through these or past life, or when your mother was pregnant with you, or through sometimes when you're unaware, you collected some impression. Like I was asleep, for example, and something happened, but I heard it, and being imprinted in my mind and caused a fear for the rest of my life. Or something happened when you were a child and you don't remember that, but doesn't mean it didn't happen. Or we did something in the past life and it's affecting us here. We bring all this baggage with us here. So we call it samskaras. And to the kind of absolute aim of the yoga, we're trying to cleanse slowly from this, untighten these knots, so we become pure central ourselves with just pure existence without all these interconnections, thoughts in the mind, which confuses us and want us to do something we don't need to do, yeah? Not what we truly want. So deep-rooted samskaras start release on this level, and Vijnanamaya Kosha is cleared, creativity becomes inspired, and clarity comes intuitively and effortlessly. At this stage, the mind is actually and truly being emptied and prepared to experience Anandamaya Kosha. And here it shows you that we're kind of moving from body to body. And of course, it depends on where you are energetically or through your life experience. Some people straight away very easy go to this high levels of themselves. They might not even aware of it or aware of it. Often it's start coming in your childhood. But some people, as I say, they might spend years and years work with the physical and pranamaya body. Some people can sit with me in a class and they straight away feel the energy, the prana. They can move the prana. They can straight away kind of feel them, direct the chakras, feel them, and feel the rise of energy and stuff like that. But for some people, take longer. So there's no like it's good or bad. Somebody's more experienced or not. No, some person can never done yoga in their life and they will sit and straight away do it. And some people can spend a lot of time traveling with a lot of gurus and go to different ashrams, and it'll take longer for them. So it doesn't matter where you are, how it works with you. And I will advise the more focusing on this cleansing process to start with. You're going to kickstart your practice. The process of gradual ascent through the koshas may be reversed. In this case, the experience of Anandamaya Kosha brings about purification at all the other levels. And this is what we talked about. So we can affect, through the physical body, I can affect my pranic body or mind body. Yeah? In reverse, but to do reverse, you need to be a little bit more sophisticated, and it might seem like somebody possessing some healing abilities, but it's just they a little bit more experienced and they working from other direction. So there's no one way to do it. Kosha consciousness, the yogic practice that one selects should be based on the major koshas in which the consciousness rests. The different levels of consciousness represented by the kosha related to: first, body; second, life; third, mind; psyche, the fourth, and to the self, with capital S, self, yes, higher self. Each practitioner belongs to one realm predominantly among the 5 levels of consciousness based on the state of evolution. And that's what I said. If the consciousness is mainly in Annamaya Kosha, one will identify strongly with the body, as many people who practice, for example, hedonism do. Yeah? You know, this practice when people try to indulge themselves through tastes or sophisticated living condition, and it's they do it through the, like, for example, physical body. Yeah? If the consciousness is in Manomaya Kosha, one will identify with analytical mind. So some people absolutely love to analyze, experience complicated thoughts. Philosophers are usually those type of people. When the consciousness has evolved to the level of Vijnanamaya Kosha, whereas the tamasic and rajasic tendencies are reduced, there is a clarity of cognition based on the intuitive intelligence. Here all experience are seen in the light of the psychic and assume a deeper significance than in it is apparent. So these people kind of start seeing the underlying problem release or reason behind the things. Yeah? In the dimension, one begins to experience the subtle expressive nature of higher consciousness. One who identifies with Anandamaya Kosha is a yogi. He has evolved to the spiritual realm where all experience are spiritual experience. And it's the higher level. The more you kind of gradually moving through this koshas, the happier you become. Even though it seems like if I'm a hedonism, for example, and I'm indulging my physical body presence is this mind, sometimes mental, thinking that I'm good because I'm better than somebody, it will be deep underlying, a very strong sense of unhappiness, which you might not think it's there, but it is there. And this will come from not being satisfied fully as the human being, as the developed human being, on a spiritual level. So you're just covering one of the aspects of yourself as a physical, for example, or energetic, for example. I do a lot of pranayams, I have a lot of prana, but I apply it to my spiritual higher self. And it might not look like, but it will cause you a big, maybe depression or unrealization as a whole human being. One's experiences in life indicate the realm of consciousness to which one has evolved. Time spent on each limb of yoga will vary from individual to individual depending on the kind of blockages and the level of evolution one has attained. And that's what I said. Some people can spend years of trying to master the asanas, to trying to start feeling the prana body. And some people doing pranayamas when they were children, not even aware of it. And they could feel the energy rising, descending, and control it or heal something with it. Expert guidance is essential. And that's very important because we're trying to balance everything out. You might have one aspect very developed. For example, my kosha very developed, but your physical is not as much, or spiritual, and it's very good, it's advanced, but it might cause you problems again, because in yoga we're trying to balance everything out. Yeah. Perception of prana in different koshas, and here just listed, it's the last paragraph for this chapter, how we experience different koshas. So the aim of the practitioner who focused on pranayama and pranavidya is to work with the pranayama koshas until the activation and perception of prana become subtle enough to penetrate the other koshas. The techniques of prana vidya train one to perceive and experience prana directly at different levels of subtlety. After the awakening of prana, its flow, form, color, and quality are experienced at all levels. And that's what we talk about. You'll physically feel it in the body. You can start directing it in the body. You will see the color. It will appear to you the color. You will see the color maybe of other people or aspects, energetic aspects. Quality in prana, and we talked about this about the chakras, all these different qualities or different levels of yourself that come to you with different pranas. Yeah, we also have different pranas, more cooling pranas, more energizing pranas, descending, ascending pranas, and so on. At the level of Annamaya Kosha, prana is experienced in the form of nervous energy. The awareness of prana shaktis on the other sheets develops through pratyahara or sensory withdrawal, by the translating the gross body and external environment. The perception of prana in Manamaya Kosha can be compared to the house at night with the light switched on. The quality and luminosity of that light depends on the purity of the mind. Some people experience Manamaya Kosha as a sheet of light, having a shape and form, others as light emanating psychically from a central source. They say it's like a light in a dark room house. Depends on your level of this, you will experience differently. A systematic and sustained period of practice at the level of Manamaya opens the door to Vijnanamaya Kosha. The inner visions, smells, sounds, and sights perceived in deeper states of meditation are the manifestation of prana in Vijnanamaya Kosha. The first glimpse of the psychic experience, however, does not indicate that the practices have borne fruit or can be dispensed with. As the koshas begin to function more coherently, a slight nudge here may cause a little experience there. So we just have to keep practicing, it says here, to get this, achieve the high levels. In fact, once Vijnanamaya Kosha is unlocked, the sadhana requires maximum effort and attention on the part of the aspirant. It is possible to wander endlessly in its realms. So fast it is sculpted and so fascinating and absorbing its stuff. And the last kosha, Anandamaya Koshas, moment when everything appears luminous. One maybe have a visions of a luminous Shivangam or such like, or somebody see the feet of the saints and so on. However, these two is a relative experience. For one truly abides in Ananda only when the entire mind stuff has been purged. So when we work through all the samskaras, purify ourselves fully, we are fully established in Ananda. The aim of the practices at this level is to clean the state completely. Swami Satyananda once said, a yoga practitioner may have a developed Vijnanamaya Kosha, but one who has achieved the result of yoga rests in Anandamaya Kosha. The enlightened yogi is in fact able to experience a sixth kosha, the Atmamaya Kosha. This is the state where complete union with the higher self is lived, and one begins to perceive the entire world as an emanation of beauty, contentment, joy, and truth. One who abides in Atmamaya Kosha is recognized as Siddha, a perfect being. Hari Om. See you next time.